Welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we're putting on our detective hats and diving into a super specific, math-heavy scriptural theory straight from the source, revealing Revelation. We're going to see exactly how some interpreters decode ancient texts to reveal what they believe is a complex, hidden timeline.
Okay, let's just jump right into the big question. What if the end of days isn't the traditional 7 years we always hear about, but exactly 14? Now, for a long time, eschatological models have focused strictly on a 7-year period, but our source material today flips that entirely on its head, and I gotta say, the math they used to get there is absolutely fascinating.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The 14-year prophecy mystery. 2. The Leviticus cycle. 3. The data-year principle. 4. Decoding the Gospels. And finally, 5. The final timeline complete. Let's get to it.
All right, Section 1, the 14-year prophecy mystery, re-examining the end of the days timeline.
So, the core idea from our source material is that the end of days is actually split into 2 distinct halves. The theory lays out 7 specific years of seals, followed immediately by 7 years of trumpets. This 14-year symmetry, it's basically the anchor for everything else we're going to explore today.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Leviticus cycle, the mathematics of the 49 years.
You might be wondering, where exactly does this 14-year structure even come from? Well, it builds right off ancient Hebrew agricultural calendars. According to Leviticus chapter 25, time is historically counted in Sabbaths of years. That means 7 sets of 7 years. If you do the math, that totals exactly 49 years. And these are measured from fall to fall, aligning perfectly with ancient sowing and reaping seasons.
And that brings us to the Jubilee. The Jubilee lands on the 50th year, right after that 49-year cycle wraps up, specifically on the Day of Atonement. But here's the real kicker. The Jubilee isn't just an ending. It actually overlaps as the very first year of the next 49-year cycle. It's like this continuous, rolling loop of time. This breakdown brilliantly illustrates how the 14 years of seals and trumpets are literally just the final 2 sets of 7 within this massive 49-year countdown. Think of it like this. The first 5 sets make up 35 years of preceding historical time. Then, set 6 gives us our 7 years of seals, and set 7 wraps it up with the 7 years of trumpets. They perfectly fill out the final 14 years right before the Jubilee hits.
Which leads us to Section 3, the data-year principle, the prophetic cipher. Now, before we can take all this math and decode the Gospels, we've got to establish the ground rules. Central to this whole theory is the day-to-year principle. Basically, whenever we see the word day or days in these specific prophecies, the theory asks us to translate that into a full, literal year. Definitely keep this cipher in the back of your mind. It's essentially the master key to unlocking this whole puzzle.
All right, Section 4, decoding the Gospels. We're looking at Luke, Mark, and Matthew.
Armed with our new cipher and that 49-year calendar, let's take a look at a really famous puzzle regarding the Transfiguration. When recounting it, Luke says about in 8 days, but Mark and Matthew, they both say after 6 days. Now, scholars have debated these mismatched timelines for centuries, but this theory suggests they aren't contradictions at all. Instead, they're super precise prophetic milestones, just waiting to be decoded.
So, applying our cipher to Luke's about in 8 days, we translate that directly into the 8th year. Remember our 49-year cycle from earlier? Right after the previous sets of 7 finish up, that 8th year perfectly marks the kickoff of the 14-year tribulation. Basically, Luke is pinpointing the exact start of the seals.
Now let's look at Mark's after 6 days. Converting those days to years lands us exactly at the end of the 6th year of the seals. And what comes right after the 6th year? It leads straight into the 7th year, which Mark aligns with a day and hour no one knows, tying right into the Feast of Trumpets. You can really see how the timeline is just systematically marching forward here.
Following that exact same mathematical logic, Matthew's account of after 6 days maps perfectly to the next block of 7. It marks the end of 6 years of trumpets, launching us straight into the 7th year of trumpets. And since this is the very final set of 7, that makes it the 14th and absolute final year of the entire 49-year sequence. Pretty wild, right?
And here we are at Section 5, the final timeline complete, the days of Noah and the Jubilee.
This is where we hit the grand finale, where all these decoded timelines finally converge. Our source points out a really specific connection. Matthew exclusively links this 14th year to the time frame of the days of Noah.
And according to this theory, that's not just some poetic metaphor. It's literally the final mathematical piece of the entire puzzle.
Just take a look at the exact mathematical duration of the Noah event as it's written in the text. The flood begins on the second month, 17th day. Then the earth dries the following year, on the second month, 27th day. When you calculate that total duration, it equals exactly 1 year and 10 days. Not roughly a year, we're talking exactly 1 year and 10 days.
So by taking that precise length of time, 1 year and 10 days, and adding it to our 14th and final year, the chronological puzzle pieces just snap firmly into place. The theory posits that this final year takes exactly this long for a reason, so that it perfectly syncs up with the ancient calendar we looked at way back at the beginning.
Watch how beautifully this all cascades. The 14th year, which remember is the 49th year of the cycle, concludes. Then, those 10 extra days of Noah pass, and where does that exact math land us? Literally right on the 10th day of the 7th month. That is the exact date of the Day of Atonement, and the precise moment the shofar sounds to declare the Jubilee. I mean, it is a stunningly symmetric conclusion.
It really is a fascinating look at how interpretive ciphers can be used to build these incredibly intricate historical models. Now, we aren't here to say whether this timeline is absolutely right or wrong, but rather to impartially explore the sheer structural complexity of the theory itself. It definitely leaves us with a lingering thought. Whether day or year, text or timeline, what other complex blueprints might be hiding in plain sight within ancient scriptures? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.